Welcome to Gray and Grow with Megan. Today we're going to dive into the connection between resentment and forgiveness and what it can do to go on to start on that journey of forgiveness. So, have you ever been the victim of someone's hurtful words or actions? Let's face it, I don't think anyone has not been, right? So, from parents to partners to random strangers, anyone, right? They've all left their mark on us. They've all left something on us throughout our lives. Some good, some bad. Depending on how long you were exposed to it, you can be left feeling vulnerable. It may also leave you with the feelings of anger and resentment. If you were exposed to a lot of things, to a long period of someone, especially someone who's supposed to love you, supposed to give you kindness, and they did not, like siblings or family or friends, the people you trusted, it can leave us feeling extremely vulnerable and have a lot of anger and resentment. This can actually manifest to chronic stress and anxiety. Now, I know a bunch of my clients over the years have spoken to me about anxiety, and some of this is stemming from your resentments, from your anger, because anger can cause anxiety over time and stress. So, if left untreated, it can lead to serious health issues. And we're going to go into some of the physical aspects of it because it's really interesting. Being a massage therapist, I'm kind of interested in that. We're going to do that in the next session. But today we're going to talk about the connection between resentment and forgiveness. So the only way to stay healthy, both mentally and physically, is to practice forgiveness. This can lead to inner peace, hope, and joy. A lot of us are lacking that, aren't we? A lot of us are lacking that. I know there are times where the happiness and the joy comes and goes because of situations going on right in this moment. But that inner peace really comes from being happy within yourself. And that comes from not having that resentment, not having that anger towards others or even towards yourself. And we're going to talk more about that as well. Today we're talking about the connection between resentment and forgiveness. Understanding the link between them can lead you on a path towards spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. So, let's get started. Why holding grudges is easy. It's easy to hold grudges, right? It's like simple. You sit there and you have someone who hurt you. Say an ex. Not only did you guys break up, but then they start talking stuff and they start saying all this mean stuff about you, untrue to you and untrue as far as you know and how you treated them, but they're talking it and you have a lot of resentment and anger towards that. It's easy just to hold a grudge towards them. The part we don't get is that grudge that we're holding is only hurting us because you know what? They're living their lives. Being hurt, especially by someone you trust, makes you feel angry and confused. When this happens, our initial response is to lash out. We always want to lash out, right? Always. We want to lash out some way, some form. We want to lash out. It's easy to lash out at people. It gives you the illusion of control and power. So when we're lashing out, it's more about wanting that control and wanting that power that we've now lost. It's even easier to hold grudges and blame other people for your woes. This it's so easy to blame others. It's so easy to hold that anger for things from 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I have family members that can hold grudges like no tomorrow. And they will hold them forever, basically. And the problem with that is that the two I'm thinking of, the two that are the worst at it, are ones that their health and their mental health and their physical health are not that great. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so I know, like, it's easy to hold those grudges. It's easy to hold resentment. It's easy to kind of be like, oh, well, I'm not talking to them until they make it right. The funny part is that the other person isn't even thinking about making it right. After a certain amount of time, they're not even thinking about it. They're like, okay, well, it is what it is, and we're going to move on. And you're still thinking in that anger and that resentment and that I'm not going to talk to them until they make it right. Well, good luck, because it's just going to hurt you in the long run. It makes you feel good, righteous even, but it's, let's be honest, that only lasts for a couple of minutes. Having the grudge, lashing out, having grudges, and only that righteous, that goodness, like you feel like you did good, that only lasts a few minutes. It only lasts a little bit of time. Then it's like exhausting. It's literally exhausting keeping grudges. It's literally exhausting. Like, both of my family members that I know hold grudges, and because I've been on the the recipient of that many times in my life with them, they don't sleep well. They're exhausted, but they can't sleep because they're too busy wasting their energy on grudges. They're too busy wasting their energy on resentment. So their thoughts go right to that anger and that resentment when they lay down. And they don't even realize it, but that's what it does. And it keeps them from sleeping properly. And it keeps them consistently exhausted. And over time, it eats away at their physical health as well. So it's really important to really get a grip on this grudging and this resentment and this anger. Harboring resentment is one of those negative feelings that can eat you up. You know the ones that will fill you with bitterness and rage. Pretty soon, you're falling deeper and deeper into a rabbit hole of self-pity, cynicism, and grudges. How many of us know someone like that? They started off with minor stuff. They started off with a little bit of grudges, a little bit of anger, a little bit of resentment, and now they've just gone further and further down that rabbit hole, further down that rabbit hole, further down that rabbit hole, to where now they are sitting there. They are cynics. They're angry all the time. They hold resentment for everything, and all they want to talk about is a negative. Are you one of them? Or do you know one of them? I know a few of them. The ugly side effects of resentment. Forgiving doesn't come easily for many people. However, with some practice, anyone can learn how to become more forgiving. And like we talked about in previous sessions, forgiving that person it's not about them. It's about you. It's about your heart. It's about who you are. And it's about you moving forward in your life. It's not about them. Forgiving is about you allowing the space for love and for goodness and for positivity in your mind and in your heart, instead of holding on to that anger. Remember that the only one getting hurt by your resentment is you. The person who hurt you probably is out there living their life, enjoying, cruising, having a good old grand time. And you and what they did to you is no longer in their mind. It's over with. So here are some ways your resentment can negatively affect your life. Number one, and comment below if any of this is effective, if you resonate with any one of these things. You keep obsessing about the past that you can't focus on the present. How many of us focus on the past and what has happened in the past and it's so hard to focus on today, unless it's somehow in your mind you're getting back at the person that hurt you somehow by focusing on this moment. But in reality, you're focusing on them and what they did. And the whole whatever's going on in your life that does have that positive, you've just made it a negative because you've made it about the other person. Feel that? You're in a state of constant panic. I have some friends that are constantly anxious about things, and they're anxious about things that if you really sit down and look at it and analyze it, because I'll ask them questions when they're talking to me about stuff, and it almost always goes back to an event. It almost always goes back to a person that hurt them or wronged them in some way, and now they have spent so much time concentrating on that moment in time and that moment and that person, that now they're anxious about everything because they can relate everything back to that. Have you noticed that about you? Have you noticed that about a friend of yours? Because a lot of us feel that way. You start manifesting symptoms of depression. This is a big one, guys, because there's a lot of depression. There's a lot of anxiety running rampant in today's world. And some of it is definite depression. You need a psychiatrist. Some of it is definite anxiety. You need a psychiatrist. Some of it, we've done ourselves by holding on to resentment, holding on to anger, holding on to so much from our past, instead of learning a lesson, which makes it a positive experience, even if it was a negative experience. Holding on creates us to be in that depression and then that anxiety all the time. You feel lost and that your life has no real purpose or meaning. Do you know someone who's like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know. I'm just here. And like, they just don't really know what their purpose or meaning is. And a lot of the reasons for that is because they're still in the past. They're still living in that anger. They're still living in that resentment. And they're still living in the situation that happened versus focusing on today and focusing on today and forward. You bring your bitterness and anger into every new experience or relationship. You know, we joke around about, baggage. You know, someone who's been in multiple relationships has baggage. They only have baggage if they're holding on to that past relationship. They only have baggage if they're holding on to the anger from the past relationship. I've been in some really good relationships and I've been in really shitty relationships. And the one thing that I bring through every single relationship is, what can I learn from this? So, like when I got with my husband, I just got out of a relationship, and especially the end was not that great. And there was a lot of resentment, a lot of hurt, and so it took me a little while, and I explained to my now husband where I was, and I explained there were some things that I couldn't do right then. I had to heal myself. And so as I healed myself, part of it is letting go. Part of it is not bringing that into something new. So healing yourself is about letting go of that anger, that resentment, those hurt feelings, those feelings of neglect. All of those things create the anger and the resentment, and you'll bring it into your next relationship, whether it's a friendship or whatever. You'll bring it into your next relationship. So I had to sit down and say, okay, what did I learn? Where can I go from here? And how can I let go? And I thought about all the good that, all the good that I was doing right then, and all the positive that I was going through at that moment, because now, the freedom away from the situation, of the freedom of my house, the freedom of having what I worked so hard for mine again, and being able to walk around my house and decorate it the way I wanted to, and do what I wanted to do, and come and go as I pleased. And that ability to spend that time with myself was so positive for me and gave me so much relief that it was like, okay, I can move from here. I can forgive, I can let go of, and I can move forward. So I bet you would like to know how you can reach a state of forgiveness. So I have 5 steps you can take to move from the state of perpetual suffering to a state of inner peace. So this is just a start, guys. This is just going to help you on your path. And just stick with it. And if you do this, you'll get yourself on the path to forgiveness, okay? Step 1, identify who needs to be forgiven and why. Who in your life do you need to forgive? The person, the whole environment in which you were in, everything. What in your life needs forgiveness and why? How is it holding on to you today? So the why would be, why do they need to be forgiven? It's not they need. Why do you need to forgive them? What is it doing to your life today? What is it doing to how you feel today? How is it affecting you at this moment still? That's your why on why you need to forgive them. Okay? Choose to stop playing the role of a victim and regain power over your life. And this is no way about victim blaming. So like, I'm not saying that, but the longer you hold on to that feeling of anger, the longer you hold on to that feeling of resentment, the longer you feel that you need to regain that control, you'll never regain it. That's what people, a lot of people, and I didn't understand it until, God, well into my 20s, even close to my 30s, I think. I didn't understand it. Is that the minute I hold anger and I hold resentment and I hold that wanting to get back at someone, I give them my control over me. I am literally giving up my control over my life and over who I am to this person who probably doesn't even realize that they have that control on me. Does that make sense? So I have an ex that was abusive, and people ask me why I don't hate him, I'm not mad at him. I don't, there's just, it's because if I continue to hold that hate and that fear and that resentment and all those negative or feelings that are not serving me, he still has control, guys. He still has that control over me. And I'm not about to give that to him. And I'm not about to allow him to continue to control my life, because I deserve to be able to control my own life. And the only way I can do that is not by me keeping that control within myself and not giving it to other people. The way I keep it within myself and not give it to other people is not hold that anger, not hold that resentment, not hold that hate, not hold that wanting to get back at, not holding any of that, because all that gives him control. Try empathy by attempting to see what happened from other person's viewpoint. There are times this can be done and this cannot be done. Okay, so there's certain situations that you can probably look at, a situation where you can show empathy. I had a friend a few years ago that I really feel like she wronged me. I really feel like the way things went down that ended our friendship was kind of mind-boggling and kind of frustrating, right? And I didn't fully understand what was going on. I still don't know the whole situation, because it just like 1 minute everything was fine and the next minute it was like, well, it was like, oh, okay. And I can hold that pain and that frustration and that anger towards her. Or I can try to be empathetic and say, you know what, I don't know the whole story and I don't know what's going on, but obviously she was in pain somehow and she had to lash out at someone. So she lashed out at me because I can take it. And so that's fine. And I can forgive her for that behavior towards me. And I hope things are better for her now. Or I hope things get better for her. Kind of makes sense. Now, there's other situations where you can't. Like, someone, your parent, a family member spent years beating the crap out of you. Then you're obviously there's not a whole lot of empathy that can be had there. However, it's very hard to show empathy for someone who did that to you. And I completely get that. And I would never say, well, you have to. But can you look in any way at the situation and say, they were not right, and, doing that to a child, or doing that to a teenager, or doing that to their girlfriend or wife or whatever, is absolutely wrong. But I know there were a lot of things going on in their lives, and I cannot forget it, and I cannot show the empathy because they took it out in a violent way on me. But I can let my feelings go towards them because I need to for my future. That's not really showing empathy, but what that is showing is that ability to show, to understand that some things just are, some things, there's nothing that can be done to show the empathy, but that you understand that there are things outside of everyone's control, and that you're willing to allow for that forgiveness to enter your heart towards them. Not forget it, but enter that heart towards them so that you can move on and you can let go. So, step 4, realize that when you forgive, you can improve your mental health and physical health. So we're going to go over, those are 2 other sessions where we're going to go over mental health and physical health as far as forgiveness. And by allowing for forgiveness and giving that forgiveness, and like I said, I've said more than once now, guys, you do not have to say, so-and-so, I forgive you. You don't have to say it to their face. But what you can do is you can sit there and say in your mind, on a piece of paper, I forgive you. Because I have to forgive you in order to move forward in my life. It's completely different. They don't need to know you forgive them. You need to know you forgive them. Keep a journal. Keep a journal of, or use guided meditation, which we're going to do a guided meditation to communicate and release feelings of hurt. I'm going to do one towards the end of this season on forgiveness. I am going to do a guided meditation. And I will let you guys know ahead of time that that's good. Then hey, the next session is going to be the guided meditation. But I'm going to show you a guided meditation specifically for forgiveness. And so that you can start on that path of forgiveness. Learn to not define yourself by what happened or how you've been hurt. So with my ex that was abusive, I can define myself by what happened. I could. It's easy to do, right? We do it all the time. By the friends that have somehow hurt me, I can define myself. By the family members that have somehow hurt me, I can define myself by what they've said or what they've done. I can define myself by that. Or I can say, you know what? I am different and I am better than what they think I am. And I am going to continue on my path, on my life, and I'm going to do what I want to do, and I just need to let go of that and take the control back from them, because the more I think about it, the more they have control over me. And number 7, considering talking to a coach, or even there's some support groups for this kind of stuff. Excuse me. There are some support groups for this. There are the coaches like me that can help guide you through some of this forgiveness. And you can always reach out to them, or me, or if you know one personally. you can always reach out to them. So that is all I've got for today, ladies and gentlemen. This one was about the connection between resentment and forgiveness. It does, holding resentment, holding anger, holding all that negative space brings you down physically, brings you down mentally. And I encourage you to start on the path to forgiveness. There are seven steps that I went over. There are 7 parts to it, beginning steps. And I encourage you to really start looking into those and working on those. Again, number 1 is going to be identify who needs your forgiveness and why. Number 2, choose to stop playing the role of victim and regain the power you once had on your life. Number 3, try empathy. Try attempting to see what happened from the other's point of view. Number 4, realize that when you forgive, you improve your mental and physical health. Number 5, keep a journal or use guided meditation. Number 6, learn to not define yourself by what happened. And number 7, consider talking to a coach or getting into a group, support group. Thank you very much. This has been Gray and Grow with Megan, brought to you by Phoenix Body and Mind. We love you. We'll see you again. Stay at peace.